Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Cruise Corner podcast. My name's Will. I'm the editor of Cruise Trade News, and today I have a very special guest with me, Lee Hayhurst, Chief Operating Officer for Cruise Trade News and World of Cruise and parent company Royal Swans Media. Lee, thanks so much for joining me.
That's all right, Will. Thanks very much.
Over at Cruise Trade News and World of Cruising, we are once again preparing for the Wave Awards, which is back on the 24th of November, once again at the stunning Dorchester Hotel in London. This year, we have 5 new categories for you to enter, including Best Trade-Only Operator, Best Ultra-Luxury Cruise Line, Best for Touring and Adventure, Best Ancillary Service, so things like transfer companies, excursion providers, insurance firms, and Best Tourist Board. Now, if you enter 4 categories, you get your 5th one for free, so it's well worth doing if you feel you're particularly strong across multiple disciplines. Entries do close on the 25th of May, so you've still got a little bit of time, but make sure to not leave it too late and get involved. So this is why, Lee, you are here with me today. Now, the Wave Awards is always a super contentious award ceremony, which we all know. Loads of people enter. It's a brilliant night. But Lee, one of the biggest things and one of the biggest challenges is writing these award entries. Now, where you get tons in from cruise lines, agents, operators, and it can be tricky to know exactly what to include, what not to include, especially if you're writing loads of different ones. Now, it's yourself, a very experienced judge. We wanted to bring you in to give your top tips and to see what people should be looking out for. So from your perspective, you know, when you're judging, what are the things you're looking out for?
Well, look, I think for start, when we're writing something, you always write something with the end reader of that content in mind. That's your audience. That's how we always do things in this business. We're thinking, well, what does that person who's reading this, what they're trying to get out of it? So anyone who's writing an entry for an award should, that's the first thing they should keep in mind. And basically, you're writing for the judges. So, you know, we both know how we operate these awards. I've run awards similar to this in the past, where we bring in people from outside this business who are experts in their field to do as an objective a job as possible to look at what the entry says. So they can only go on what we ask them to do. So if you look at our 3 main fields, when you look at in the entries, we ask you to answer 3 broad questions. So firstly is, what is the problem that you were trying to address? What is the issue? What was the process and the solution you put in place? And then what was the outcome or the results of that piece of work? If you stick to that, then the judges have got a really clear way of judging how good this entry is versus all the others they get. You don't forget you're in competition with other people who are writing good entries and trying to answer those questions. So you answer those questions better than anybody else, and you've got a good opportunity to win an award. Clearly, we bring in people with expertise in the field because we want them to bring that to bear. And that does happen. I've been there. I can guarantee that if something is said in an award that we want to check, it will be flagged and it will be checked. And that has actually changed people's minds during the process. So that's a really interesting part of the judging process that I think is worth bearing in mind. So you don't need to give these people everything from A to B because they do know the industry. They probably know your business. They know some of the background. But what they don't know is what was going on in this particular project that you're entering.
That's it.
So give them all the context of that.
Yeah, it's sort of trying to give as much information as you can, but at the same time keeping it quite succinct because sometimes you get entries through and there's so much information there. But the more you put in, sometimes it dilutes that message, the really strong key points. So I think as well, there's quite good use of things like bullet points and just putting it out really clearly.
Yeah, I think sometimes you can see maybe companies have probably got the marketing department to write these, which can be fine. They should definitely be involved. But marketing content can be a bit what I would call fluffy. You know, too many words saying the same thing or repeating themselves. So you're right. Get to the point of it. Use bullet points. I think the system we use does allow you to. There's not a great deal of. You're not going to sort of make it look beautiful like a report, but it's just asking you for the words. So bullet point things. Put a bullet point in there, and get to the number of it because that's what the judge wants to do. They want to They really will not be impressed by sort of fluffy marketing and PR. No.
Yeah, because you see that a lot in, with, as you say, with PR and sales pitches. So this is about what you've done and what you've achieved. Now, another thing to bear in mind with the awards and something that some of our listeners may be thinking now, obviously there are award categories in there that will be for the biggest cruise lines in the world, all the way down to small one-ship operators and the UK's biggest travel agencies, all the way down to one-person homeworking agencies. Now, for those sort of one-person operations, maybe they've got one store, they've just started out, is there still a place for them to enter?
Yeah, I think this is the key thing about running awards with a judging panel, and I've done it previously, is what you actually tend to find. In actual fact, people don't believe this because often the big guys will win. Big guys have got big budgets. You expect a lot of those guys, right? If they apply a lot of budget, a lot of manpower, a lot of resource, something, and they do brilliantly, they're going to be hard to beat. Fair enough, okay? But actually, most of the time, what judges are really most impressed with is when a small outfit, an individual has an idea, they come along with something with little budget, but they really overachieve. That will get noticed. Yeah. And I think, and if you really look at the winners through any of these kind of awards, you will spot those moments where actually an entry or a company has really overachieved and put themselves on a pedestal against some really big competitors. And that does happen in the waves. It happens in other awards that are judged by panels. And I think that's the beauty of judging with a panel. It's not simply a sort of popularity exercise where if you know the brand, you get the votes. Yeah,
and it's a real discussion. And I've been on these panels as well, and everything is discussed really down to the minute detail. And there's never a case of someone says, oh, well, this agency made hundreds of millions, this one's only made a few thousand. It's all relative. And as long as that's explained and presented well enough, then there's no reason not to.
We get a lot of data in these things, and obviously percentages are useful. Big, massive 900%, 1,000% percentage numbers these people aren't stupid. They know that can hide very small raw figures behind it. So again, contextualizing it is a good idea. And again, a high percentage change for a small company, but a real change in that business can be more impressive than a small tweak in a large corporate.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as well as the information and the data and all the things you need to include, there is also the opportunity to include extras into your submission, things like videos and things like consumer feedback. How important are these parts of it?
Yeah, I've seen them sway results, absolutely. To be honest. Without the extra bit of information, and you can add in, like you say, PDFs, links to videos. I've seen people actually create videos specifically for it. So, okay, the text goes through the nuts and bolts of the entry, but the video is something you can watch in 30, 40 seconds, and it tells you everything you need to know. And that again, I think what that shows to the judges is that we want to win this award. We're desperate. We really want to win this award. We put in a bit of effort into this. Yeah. We've done something bespoke for this award. So you mentioned before about companies can often enter more than one.
Yes.
The worst thing is you get the same entry for a different award. And got to bear in mind that the same judging panel might judge that one as well. So they've seen both entries and they've seen they've just basically rinsed and repeat an entry for a different award. So just avoid doing that.
Yeah.
Look like you really want to win it, bespoke it, and go for that award, and really think about how the information you're getting across lends itself to winning that particular award. That's crucial.
Yeah, I think it's so important to really read and understand what the award is asking. With every award, you'll find a description, you'll find the information you need. Make sure to consume that and make sure you understand what that means. Yeah, because you can look at the title and you can apply on that basis, but the people that do really well are the people who go through it in granular detail to make sure they're hitting all of those key points.
Yeah, there were some great examples last year. I remember, I can't even remember the individual awards or companies that entered, but I do remember thinking, someone sat down and really thought about this. It's like when you write a story or a piece for the magazine or for the website, you sit, before you even start putting a letter on a page, you think about how that is maybe going to be structured, and that's you can tell that comes through when someone's done that. And there were a number of entries where you thought they've really nailed this. And if we had 9 entries exactly the same structure, then it would be an interesting debate as to who stood out as the winner. But when you get entries where that's not happened, it's very easy to dismiss them because the judges are looking to dismiss the weaker ones quite quickly. Absolutely. And the way we work with this is that they get to look at them themselves online first, give them a score, and that then feeds into a potential discussion at the actual physical judging day. Yeah. So you need to get yourself noticed in that sort of digital section, which is tough because these guys might have 20, 30 entries to look through. All text, a lot of information is coming through. So they're just looking for that nugget that makes them go, these guys are definitely worth considering.
And getting to that, the judging day is so key because those who say those conversations most of the time do change people's opinion. Yeah. You're hearing it from someone else's point of view, or you think, oh, actually, I didn't take that into consideration, or things like that. So getting to that stage is critical.
Yeah, yeah. And it's good. I love that because I come away, these are our awards, so they do reflect on us. But I come away from judging day thinking, you know what, I think we've made some good quality decisions today. Really? And if we were asked to justify that in a few months' time, we know we can do that because we have scribes in every meeting. They're taking notes and annotating what people have said. So if someone says, well, why didn't I win? We know exactly why they didn't win. And it's often just the case that, look, this entry was better than yours.
Yep.
And we can feed back as to why that is. But that was what swung it in the end. So it is very important to put a great entry in.
Absolutely. So Lee, if you could give your 3 top tips for writing a Wave Awards entry, what would they be?
We've probably gone through, there's probably more than 3, but to hone in on is to answer those questions directly and structure your answers. Is to think about who's reading this, not you're not writing it for us as Real Response Media, you're writing for the judges. And then I think the final one is to make use of that additional material. There's a little bit of unlimited amount you can put in. I think the size of file was probably limited, that's it. But if you were to do links to web pages, to videos, etc., there's almost no limit to what you can put in. You can overdo it a little bit, but just make as much use of that as possible.
Lee, thanks so much for joining me and for that insight. It's super useful. Plenty to take away there. Some really, really useful insights, as I say, to help you putting together that winning Waves Award submission.